This
into
conference will now be recorded.
Business analysis side, wherein I'm very experienced with understanding requirements, providing business solutions for the customer needs and all that. So apart from that, I'm into agile development for a long time. Because nowadays, of course, you people are known about how agile development or how agile process is more important for anyone's project development nowadays. Right? I hope because as I've seen many people were there, but there will be some people who are from IT and as well as non-IT background and all. Before I'm going to start the session, let me give you the brief of what I'm going to cover. I hope you people have seen the content. What am I going to cover in this session? But still, anyway, from my end, I'll share you the content as well to you. Which starts with the introductory part of SDLC. We talk about SDLC part because there will be some non-IT people who may attend for this session along with IT. IT people will be aware about SDLC process and all. Nothing to say much about them, but there will be some non-IT guys who might be. So they may not have some kind of awareness relating to the process of Agile. And also before that, I'm going to give you an overview about what is SDLC is all about and why is it important and all. Followed by this, I'll explain you about what are the different models we have and how Agile is important for present project development or product development process, right? Why is Agile is more important nowadays for us? For what reason are we needed Agile, which is essential for present project development? Are we using any kind of mixed kind of stuff? Like, are we using only Agile in reality, or are we mixing Agile in traditional models and all? If not, if yes, and how it is, right? And under Agile process, what are the basic principles we have and all, right? Under what principles and pillars Agile works? Followed by that, we discuss about what are the different frameworks and processes which are lined up under Agile. Right? So this is all about an introductory part. I would like to mention you before, because don't expect the detailing of Agile and all the topics of Agile and all won't be covered here, because as this is an introductory part wherein I'm focusing more on the basic part of Agile so that people will have some idea, right? So what exactly this is all about and all that, because of course few people might be working for this under Agile development maybe for some time. Maybe there may be some people who are new to Hello? Right. So, right, everybody, are you able to view the screen now, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. So this is what the basic overview of the session what I'm going to cover today. So if you people were already known about SDLC, please bear with me and please listen. Okay. So as I already given you the introductory part for a few minutes now, about the importance of Agile and also. If you let me starts with SDLC process first. Okay, let me start with it. And I'm thinking from a layman perspective, or whoever is attended here, so that whatever the session I'm starting is from SDLC, as I already repeating you again. So let me start with you from an SDLC point of view. What is SDLC is all about? It's not only a project development, right? So let us understand this way. Any development environment, either it's a project are we developing, or you're developing a product, or you're developing any non-IT product, somewhere like you're manufacturing a car, you're manufacturing a mobile or something like, there will be a development process which is important for anyone to understand. Okay, because when you are producing a product or when you're developing any project, there are some steps which are important for us to know. Okay, because this is majorly focused especially to streamline the kind of activities what we need to develop during the tenure of the project, right? It is major reason of developing SDLC is for that, because it's SDLC in full form, it's called as software development life cycle. Hope you people were aware of. If it's a product, normally, for example, if you're manufacturing a soap, we call it as PDLC, product development type life cycle. If it is a project, a software project we are developing, hence we call it as SDLC, stands for software development life cycle. That's only the difference. In a layman perspective, I'm explaining this to you, right? So the major reason of SDLC to implement when we are developing the project have these reasons. I hope you people are able to view the screen now. The first reason is about scheduling, and as well as budgeting and all will become much easier, because the kind of model what we are using and all depends on that. The kind of cost what we are need to invest for the project and all, everything varies. How and all everything I'll tell you later. At the same time, when you want to schedule the project, to whom we need to assign the task, what kind of tasks these people need to do, right? So all these things are something connecting to the kind of process of SDLC what we talk about. What are the steps of SDLC and all, I'll show you. I'll open a Word document and I'll type and I'll show you, so that you people will understand better, right? So this is the first thing. And second is about, it's a kind of process wherein we need to understand the kind of deliverables what we want to provide ultimately, end of the day, right? So the kind of deliverables we want to provide towards to the customer needs and all that, at the same time to track the project, right? It is useful for project planning and all that, right? So all these things comes under the SDLC part, right? So major reason of SDLC is to track the progress of the project. At the same time, project planning is required, tracking the project irrespective of the kind of models are we using, because again, to tracking the project of the project planning, execution and all, again it varies from the kind of model what we are using and all that. Okay, because sometimes we may use some basic traditional models like waterfall and all that, right? Or sometimes we are using some kind of V model and all. Sometimes we are using for Agile, right? Which is happening nowadays. People are using and all. So it's purely depends upon the kind of need of the customer, right? What was the exact need of the customer and all depends on that. We were using these SDLC models and all that. So the importance of SDLC is this. So wherein you can see here, this is what the diagram. I'm just opening the document and the kind of steps what are there under SDLC. I'll just type and show you, so that I hope you people will understand it much clear. In spite of showing it as in a presentation, let me show in a Word document, so that you people will understand this much better. Just be online for 2 minutes. Let me, yeah. I hope you people are able to view this document, right? So Word document, I think, right? Are you able to view this Word document? Everyone?
Yes, yes.
Right. So SDLC process, the importance of SDLC, as I discussed you now, there are some stages of SDLC which we must be knowing, as I am showing the presentation here. As the presentation is, I think it is so less in size. I hope all the people may not visible it more clear, maybe because some people may be connecting from mobiles or something like. Hence I'm just typing on a Word document, I'm just explaining you so that you people will understand it much better. So when we talk about this SDLC, there are n different processes we need to understand. So the first process, a stage of SDLC, starts with analysis, followed by design. The next was implementation, followed by testing, deployment, and delivery. Right. So these are the different phases which are there under SDLC, irrespective of the kind of model are we using. Okay, underline this point. Right. Irrespective of the kind of model are we using, the stages of SDLC or the process of SDLC, what are we implementing, irrespective of the domain, irrespective of technology, these are common. So this will not have any kind of changes and all that. Followed by delivery, we'll have maintenance, of course. You people know that. The support team will take care of all that and all that. Right. So this is what generally the process of SDLC is all about. Right. Because there were n different people wherein you can see here, because there may be some developers, right, who will be involving in uh, the project development, right, by developing some code and all that, right. So testing people will perform testing activities, wherein architects are the people who design the solution for the project, right, enterprise business architecture and all that, right. All these enterprise architectures, like solution for the project, all that will be designed by them. At the same time, a project manager is a person who normally do this costing, budgeting, scheduling, and all that. So wherein business analyst is a person who majorly focusing on business requirements, interacting with the customer and all that. At the same time, there are like user interface designers, right? So a lot many people will be there. Right? So whoever are working for the project are involving in each and every stage of project development, wherein it starts with analysis, wherein hope you people know about that, right? Wherein we do this requirements, like we, whenever we got a project for our side, right? Whenever we got a project from any of the customer or from any of the stakeholders and the clients, the very first thing what we do is about understanding their requirement, understanding their business problem. That is what major the part is, because there are cases that customer is coming to you to enhance the project, right? Because there is an existing, let's say for example, let's say there was a point of sale system for a retail store. There is a retail store which they have a point of sale system. Assume that there is an existing point of sale system which was being used by the customer from past decade and a half. Now the business has increased a lot, the retail operations, the customer base has increased a lot, the kind of performance and the kind of options and the features what that application has, not much of comparing to the present situations and all. So there are possibilities that the application may not perform as it is required for the present scenario. So what normally customer expects us to upgrade the application. This could be one reason. Another reason was that customer might require a new application according to the need of them and all that, right? So there is a major thing where we need to understand about the business problem and as well as need analysis. These are the two things which you people must understand. The first is about business problem, and second was need analysis. So these are the two major things which makes us successful, right? So if you are not waste for any of the customer, because of course you might have given the right solution to the given solution to the customer, but may not that what customer is expecting, right? So that may not be expecting by the customer at all. So these are all happens under analysis phase, right? Business problem, need analysis, all these things here. Coming to the design part and all, hope you people were aware of, right? So design of the project, like high level designs and low level designs of the project, are building some architecture of the application and all that. For example, when we are constructing building, how much capital do you have, right? How much manpower, licensing staff you have and all that. Unless until you don't have a design of the building, will not have any value at all. But this design again will be calculating in two ways. One is external side and second is internal side. What was the external side? External phase of the project, wherein you normally you see how the building looks like from an external point of view. Whereas internal side, that doesn't mean majorly focuses on how many flats are you constructing, right? What will be the size of each and every flat? Where we have to give some electric points, right? Where the plumbing inlet pipes should be given, outlet pipes, and all that must be designed. If you are not designed all that, how best the imagining staff do you have and all that will not have any value at all. In the same way, whenever we want to develop the project, how best the development staff do you have, right? How experienced the developers, how experienced the testing people we have. Unless until we are not laying out the path towards reaching out the destination by architects. That's the reason why architects were highly paid for any of the project. I hope few people who is working for IT organizations and all might be knowing about the importance of this, right? So because architects and all, everything plays a vital and important role for any of the project, right? So all these things happens in the design phase of the project, right? So we are going to design the solution for the project and all, so that designs, that architectures and all, everything will be explained to the technical team, hence they'll develop the project accordingly. This is what happens under design. Whereas in the third phase we talk about implementation, where all the development coding part and all, everything, right? Developers will write code for the logic what we are about to implement, right? All that will happen in the implementation phase, followed by the testing phase, wherein we talk about testing, like importance of testing, right? So unless until whether our developers were developed the right thing or not, we need to be tested for that, right? So all these testings and all, everything happens here. Followed by the testing, next was about deployment. We talked about deployment, majorly focusing on deploying of the application at the client location, because client never knows whether you have done in the right manner or not. Maybe project you have developed successfully, but according to the need and the requirements of the customer you have developed or not, is not aware. Point number one. Second, infrastructure as well as execution of the project might be good at your site. Maybe at the client side, client infrastructure you have to check out, and you need to deploy the application at the client location. All that happens under deployment. Followed by deployment, the next was delivery. When we talk about delivery, doesn't mean executing the project and we are delivering the project by preparing some project documentation, right? So we have to prepare some user manuals and all that. And if any new entrance comes to their organization and all that, let's say, for example, let us take a point of sale system as an example here. So we need to explain them how the point of sale system they have to work, right? So some kind of training, inductions and all, everything should be given to them, so that we have to prepare some training manuals and all that, and we deliver the project to the customer, followed by that maintenance, like support, right? So because accuracy of the project we are ensuring, but whenever the people start working on the project, there are possibilities that they may get some minor problems or all, wherein it should be troubleshooted at that point of time, which should not be delayed. So that maintenance will also be taken care of by the vendor who is developing the project or a product for anyone, right? So these are the different processes wherein we need to understand about SDLC. This starts with analysis, design, implementation, testing, deployment, delivery, and maintenance, right? So these are all comes under the SDLC part of it. Hope understood, everyone? Everyone understood? Do you have any queries with regard to this? Shall I continue? Is this clear, everyone?
Yeah,
Clear or not?
yeah.
Right, thank you. So this is what the basically the importance of SDLC and how SDLC works and all that. So this is what basically the introductory part of SDLC. Now we are talking about the models of SDLC. Why are we require models? Like whatever the models I am showing was very few. Of course, there are different models we have, like spiral, iterative process and all that. There are different models we have. Of course, I am naming very few which are more prominent and important here. So now we were discussing about the models of software development lifecycle, because SDLC process, as I told you, it's a continuous process wherein for any project to develop we use that. But there are some models which you have to be understood, right? So there are different models and all. Depends upon the need of the customer, depends upon the timelines what they have, depends upon the requirements of the customer and all that. We are developing models and all. We are choosing the model and all, right? Which model is more suitable for them and all that. Because nowadays, why am I explaining about these models now? At the same time, why are we focusing more for agile methodology nowadays? I'll tell you after that. Okay. So earlier, the situation was, if a customer has approached you, if he has given the requirements to you, they used to wait for some time, right? So they, because if you, based on the requirements and all, if you say that it takes 6 months or 8 months of time, customer will used to wait with you. So you're developing the project as a whole and you're delivering the project at once to the customer, right? So this is how the situations earlier was in the inception stages of our IT segments, scenarios and all that. So this is what the situation earlier. The earlier situations were good, but nowadays the situation was something different. Because for example, let's say I'll give you a best example for an e-commerce portal. Let's say for example Amazon, or you can take Flipkart or Alibaba, right? Whatever the e-commerce portal nowadays, day by day the kind of offerings what they were providing, right? Minute to minute changes are happening, understand, right? Minute to minute, because lot many offers they are introducing nowadays, lot many options they were opening up. Whatever the offer they were giving in the morning, it won't be there in the night, right? Maybe at the night times, they'll give you some timelines and all, maybe some kind of offer. So depends on the market segment, depend upon some market needs, market demands, depends upon the market dynamics, market interest, competition and all that. These e-commerce portal business people, whoever they are, they wants to tap the customer as much as possible, right? So they want to, of course, nowadays because of the situation, present situation, we were tend towards online shopping and all that, of course. uh, so we can't do anything about, but normally most of the people used to go and do shopping, retail shopping, right, by just going there physically to the shops and all that. But over a period of time, because of the lifestyle or because of the kind of timelines what we were unable to manage and all that, most of the people were tend towards online shopping. They're shopping all the products through online. So customer, tapping the customer and as well as retaining the customer is more challenging nowadays, because customers were more exposed towards indifferent e-commerce portals nowadays. So the kind of development and the kind of changes what do we need to make should also be more rapid. Okay, so whatever the kind of models we are using nowadays should be on par to that. That is one reason majorly where most of the people were turned towards the high-end models called agile and all that, right? So for that reason people are going. But there were other models which we are talking about. These are the models which I am just showing you. The first model we call it as waterfall. As name resembles that, water, how the water flown from top to bottom, right? So how it flows in a slanting way. This is how generally the waterfall model is all about. So waterfall model is the one which we call it as linear sequential model. It's a traditional type of model since older days we are using since beginning. This is a kind of model where whatever the phases of stages of SDLC I told you, right? So these stages like analysis, design and all, implementation and all that. So these happens one by one, right? One after another. Once analysis is completed, you go in for design phase, followed by implementation, testing, and so on. So wherein if there are advantages under this waterfall model where the project development is more easier and it is transparent and people will understand this much better. This is what major advantage for waterfall model is. It is easy to, it is easy for anyone to understand. It is easy for anyone to work with, right? So this is what generally the waterfall model is all about. But it has its own disadvantages, because as I just now have given you an example to you that the present scenario, the present conditions, when we talk about the present conditions were something different, the kind of conditions what we have and all that, right? Along with customer, we have to travel along with the customer, and whatever the changes we want to do, we have to do it everything very fast. So that waterfall model doesn't gives you that chance to you, right? Whole waterfall model I'm talking about. Exclusive waterfall model will not give you the chance to you. So that is one reason why waterfall model has less in importance. I don't say it is existence, because existence is not the right word, but still there were cases that people are using traditional models even till today, because 100% agile, if people say that implementation was absolutely wrong according to my analysis and my experiences. 100% agile won't be implemented in all the projects. It's purely depends upon the kind of importance what we have, and it's combination of waterfall, agile, all these happens in reality. But whereas whatever we say outside is different, people say that we are using agile and all that, but normally it's not. When it is in reality, normally it is not. Sometimes it's a combination of waterfall, agile, and all that. So waterfall model has this advantage: it is very transparent and people can use this very easily, right? So but what are the phases of top we are talking about, right? Analysis, design, implementation, testing, right? All these happens in a sequential manner. This is what we call it as waterfall model is. The second one, we could talk about V model, wherein V model is majorly focusing on verification and validation, where we have limited time. We have very limited time, wherein customer is asking us to develop the project in very short time, and they wants to us to deliver and all that. There, we are using V model here. Means both implementation and testing happen sequentially. Means development and as well as testing, people are working on the same pace. And this model also you can see in present development and all. That's the reason why, if people were in application development, hope you people will aware of it, along with use cases of what developers are doing and all that, test cases will also be prepared by the testing people in the initial stages of it. That's what we call it as RTMs. All these things will be prepared by them. So what happens is, along with use case development, people are using test cases also. People are start using test cases and all. So this is what normally happens when we are working on V model, right? Verification validation means we have very less timelines, wherein you want to deliver the project to the customer as fast as possible, so that analysis in both implementation as well as testing happens side by side. This is what we call it as verification validation model is. The third was incremental model. It's a kind of process, we call it as, wherein we are adding new increments every time and all, everything based upon the need of the customer. The incremental model is that kind of stuff, but it is something similar to agile and kind of stuff. But the major disadvantage here is that agile is majorly focused on role specific rather than designation. Because if a developer were there, the major difference I'm talking about from the traditional models with agile, I'm saying now, okay? Because if you see traditional model wherein if there is a developer do coding, tester will do testing, right? So they don't do anything apart. But when we talk about uh, agile process and all that, it's all designation specific. Whoever is capable enough to handle that situation will be assigned that task to them. This is what generally agile majorly focused on. So the incremental models and all, everything, there are people who are working for project development and all for a long time. Maybe these people do coding, these people do testing as separate and all, and they are not involving anything as separate. But whereas when we talk about this uh, agile process and all, it's majorly focusing on role specific, because we'll have very less roles here. We have 3 different roles and all that I'll tell you in next coming time. In another few minutes I'll start that. So it's all about role specific, because whoever is working under agile must be a multi-skilled, right? Because if you are a person working under agile, you must be aware of development, you must be aware of testing, right? You must be able in a position to interact with the customer at any point of time, right? All these things you must be good at with, right? So this is what the difference you can see from incremental to agile. Understood everyone? Clear Everyone following? Any queries? Hello? Okay, fine. Right, okay, thank you. So this is what generally the difference wherein you can see from the traditional models with Agile is, because traditional models are all about the basic models, like the developments and all, everything happens in a sequential manner and all that. Wherein when we talk about this, when we talk about this agile process or agile methodology has a different process altogether, wherein what is about agile and all everything I'm explaining you now. Just wait for 2 minutes, give me 2 minutes of time. I'm just reconnecting again because there is some problem here. I'm just joining, just give me 2 minutes. Yes, wait. Right. Right, so this is what generally the model of the models of SDLC is all about, right? So one is waterfall, V model, right? Incremental, iterative, and all that. And now I'm explaining about what is Agile and what is Agile process is all about, and what are the different frameworks do we have and all everything. The next slide explains that. Just give me a second. Everyone are able to view the screen? Are you able to view the screen? Everyone? Are you able to view the screen now? Okay, fine. So these are the different models as we talk about. So now this is what generally we are talking about Agile now. Agile majorly we call it as a process or methodology, right? Anything we can say. But most of the people have a misconception that Agile is a process or a methodology which normally used for project development. But usually it's not, because it's not only, we cannot confine this exclusive only for project development like software projects and all that. Even when we are manufacturing a car, when you're manufacturing a mobile, when you're manufacturing a watch, or whatever the manufacturing or production process is being involved, Agile can be implemented here, right? Because Agile is a process or a methodology which has a nature of immediate delivery. At the same time, changes can be made in the late developments. This is what generally the Agile majorly focused on, right? Agile major focus of Agile is that. Hence, what happen is Agile is a kind of process or a methodology not only for project development, even in non-IT, even when you're manufacturing a car, especially for example, Toyota. I hope people were aware of Toyota manufacturers, car manufacturers, and all that. They use a process called as lean, right? So lean is a process being used. What is the process and all everything being used by them, right? So whatever the lean process and all everything, so that lean process and all everything being used by these tire manufacturers when they're manufacturing a car and all, because of course late developments and late development changes is required for any development environment. It's not only, I'm not only confining this towards the project development and all. When you're manufacturing a car, of course we'll have design with us first. We'll have the design. Based on the design, our people will manufacture that, right? So assemble that, all that will happen. But last minute changes sometimes were inevitable, because I'm not saying it happens in all the cases. Maybe because of indifferent reasons, either maybe because of the market demands, maybe because of the market situations, or maybe because of our maybe our people's brainstorming, out of brainstorming discussions, we might have coming up some few more changes, or these are all happens normally, right? So because 100% whatever we finalized will not be executed at fast, right? Finally there will be some minor modifications, there are possibilities, because I'm not confining this, I'm not generalizing this for every development. So last minute changes were inevitable, last minute changes are possible. So when we are using these waterfall models and all that, which is not possible by us, right? When we are using this waterfall V model and all, these kind of problems were there. So that is the reason why most of the people were using agile process and methodology, where last minute changes can be made and flexibility in development and all, everything is more possible. Not only that, the major advantage of agile is we don't spend much time on documentation, because normally what happened when we talk about, when we see about project development, let's say for IT project development I'm talking about, when we are developing a project, what normally we do is like, we get the requirements from the customer. Normally business analysts are the people who understands the business solution. They'll prepare some requirements, documents and all, like BRDs, functional requirements, non-functional, software requirements, specifications and all, right? So all these will be prepared by the uh, business analyst, and all these people will prepare. So these documents will be shared to the uh, technical team, right? So because, and whatever the changes and all everything, those changes and all everything again will be made in the same document, and they can, that will be resubmitted and all this. So this is the continuous process, right? So this is a continuous process, happens in regular project development. So the amount of time we are spending in interaction will become lesser, right? So there is no much interaction among people who is working on the projects. There will be of less interaction, and apart from interaction, we focus more on project execution and all, right? So they were, whatever the changes are happening and all, every time you need to work on the document, right? You need to make some changes out of it. So there is no much interaction is more involved, especially in traditional models. That is what they have given on the values, the key values of 4 key values. On that, the first key value was that. I hope you people can see here, right? So individuals in interactions more possible in agile, because that's what we call it as daily scrum, right? Because whoever are working under that agile environment and all, so those people works on the project development, those people works on projects and all that. So these people will interact day to day, right? Day to day interaction will be there. So every day in the morning for about 15 minutes they interact, what is happened yesterday, right? So what you're going to do today, right? What you're going to do tomorrow, all that will be discussed in agile. So this is what the advantage of agile is, means in spite of focusing more on preparing documents and sharing documents to the people, we are focusing more on the project development, right? So we are focusing more on meetings and all that, right? That is what majorly the advantage, wherein you can see when we talk about uh, agile and all that, wherein other traditional models and all, we focus more on documents and all that, wherein here we'll give more importance for the interaction, but make sure we must have a proper communication among all the people who is working for the project. If you don't have proper interaction among people, will be a failure. This is one thing which we have to understand. And the second point, of course I have not mentioned here, but agile, we have to understand from a broader context, is all about a mindset. See, there are two things. One, I can say proudly that we are using agile, but are we successful? This was the second question, right? Are we successful in implementation? Here doubt arises, because Why am I saying is this? See, if I say that Agile we are implementing proudly, but success rate varies. Why? Because the reason, that is what I said. Unless until Agile is all about mindset. Normally our tendency, it's a human tendency, because nothing to point out anyone. Normally human tendency is that if I'm working fine for a project, I'm not ready to give my credibility. I'm not ready to share my credibility with others who is not performing as like as me. Because if someone is sharing even the success of mine with others, normally as a human I don't accept, because it's my hard work, right? My skill set and all that, which I'm not normally, I don't show interest to share with others, right? So this is how human tendency normally it is. I don't say whether it is right or wrong. It's not the platform to discuss. Of course everybody have their own interest and all. We have to respect that. So but when we are talking about Agile is majorly focused, and Agile is majorly talks about team development and teamwork. It's not about individual performances. You understand one thing, I'm underlining this, please underline this point. Individual focus or individual success will not be considered under Agile. Whatever are working, it's under the team work. So team development and team success will be taken into an account. No individual decisions or no individual success will be taken into an account. This is what Agile is all about. But this is where the problem comes, because normally, as it given you an example, I'm not ready to share my success with others. So it's not only about the process what we are implementing in reality, but we have to see our mental development is also important. Mental development means mentally we have to fix that we are working for a group, and if someone is not working, of course I have to take his work and I have to complete the task. So that is the kind of mindset everybody has to inculcate when we are working under Agile environment. So that's what I'm saying that claiming that we are working under Agile is completely different than success rate, because 100% are we implementing Agile, 100% are we in Agile development, 100% are we successful? Again there is a matter. The reason why, again I'm disconnecting this to the example I have given you when we are talking about this waterfall model and all. I've told you, right? It's a mix of it, right? Sometimes we use waterfall model, sometimes we use Agile. So whenever we require Agile will be used, whenever we need it we use waterfall model. So it's a combination of both. When we are finding some difficulty of moving towards the next levels and all that, so waterfall model will also be integrated into this. So pure Agile development may not be possible, because I don't say it is impossible, because I should not use a word called impossible. May not be possible because it's purely depends upon the kind of people who is working under that project and all that. So it varies from the team size what we have and all, the kind of people who is leading the teams and all. It varies the kind of customer we have, right? The kind of interaction we had with the customer and all that. So this is all majorly focusing on. So the first point is about individual interactions and the tools and the processes. This is the first point. Second was comprehensive documentation. As I told you in the beginning itself already, I think this point uh, I've already mentioned this point, because we focus less on documentation, because documentation preparation and all everything takes a lot of time. Normally we don't uh, spend more time on that, right? Rather than spending on documentation and all, we give more importance for interaction, right, with other peoples and all that. We normally we give interaction with other people. We'll spend time with the people who is working for that, what we did yesterday, right? What you're going to do today. So what are our challenges now, right? What could be our requirements? What could be the work for tomorrow, right? What task we have to complete for today? All that will be discussed here. So documentation importances will be less when we are comparing with traditional models. This is what the second point was. The next is about customer collaboration or contract negotiations. So collaborating, see, normally in any of the project, if you observe, especially with reference to the traditional models and all that, customer will not be a part of project development. Customer never involves. But whereas when we are working on Agile, customer doesn't mean customer representative. I can say that way, right? I can put this way. Customer representative and customer will also be involving in project development. So they'll also be a part of project development. The interactions, right? So the kind of discussions, the kind of ideas, sharing of ideas, all that will be with customer as well, right? Customer will also be a part of our project development. So whatever, that's what I've told you, right? So the example I have given you when we're talking about Amazon or some kind of Flipkart or whatever the e-commerce portals and all that. So these people want some kind of changes in the project development every time. Every time they wants to have some kind of developments to be happen in their sites or in their because they want to put some offers, they want to add some new features into that, they want to put some new images, right? So lot many things they wants to do. So unless until if you are not closed with the customer, unless until if customer is not working with us along with the agile teams and all that, it's a really difficult task for us to change all the time. So sometimes wherein there are cases wherein I can say that the execution, and as well as I don't say execution, the delivery of the work will happens in every day as well. Sometimes, of course, normally we say that it's 15 days, every 15 days or every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks normally. But sometimes there are cases wherein you can see in agile, where when we talk about scaled agile, it happens. Normally in agile, you don't see that. When we're talking about scaled agile framework, safe, we call it as safe and all. That's of course that's an advanced kind of stuff. Let's not go in detail of it. Even when we are talking about the scaled agile environments and all, because lot many people of agile groups are working in different parts of the location of for the same project, wherein work has been distributed among all these people, so that there are cases that everyday delivery of the project will also happen. Some cases, there are cases happens, as an example of e-commerce portals I'm saying and all that. So unless until if you are not interacting with the customer closely, so executing according to the need of the customer is not uh, possible all the time. So that customer collaboration is more important. At the same time, responding to change over following a plan, right? So what are the changes do we want to make and all that? So all these things can be done under these agile, right? So these are the more four key values where we have to be focused more on. The first was about interaction and individuals among is important. Second is about comprehensive documentation, less documentation, more interaction will be there. At the same time, customer will also be a part of us. At the same time, changes can be made at any point of time. So these are the four key values which are there under agile. Everyone following? Everyone clear? Any doubts? You please unmute and have that flexibility. You please unmute and say. Otherwise, you please text here so that I can see. Okay. Okay.
No doubts.
Yeah. You have any query? Do you want to ask anything? No queries? Shall I continue then? Okay, fine. So these are the four key values which are there for agile, right? So this is what generally the agile part of is all about. But not only values and all that, we have to talk about the principles of agile. What are the key principles of agile is all about? Of course, something similar there and here, because nothing, but there are some key 12 key principles we have under agile, which I'm about to discuss here. The ultimate the project execution or project development, what we are doing is ultimate result is to have a satisfaction with the customer, right? Unless until if you don't have any customer satisfaction, will not have any value, right? According to the needs and interest of the customer, we have to complete the task. So ultimate target and result is about customer satisfaction. That was the first principle. Second, changing environments, right? So changing of environments from time to time is the major key principle of agile. Other point was the third was about high frequency of delivery, and that's what I've told you in the few minutes back. I've told you in safe, when we are implementing safe process, scaled agile framework process and all. Scaled agile means large scale of project development, large scale of members, large scale of team people will be there, where in large environment you need to interact. See, people management is a challenging task wherever it is, right? So you know that. So managing multiple scrum teams and multiple agile teams is the biggest challenge of all times. because rather than developing the project, managing the people itself is the biggest challenge. So frequency of delivery, even everyday delivery of the project happens also sometimes, maybe weekly deliveries also happen. So high frequency of delivery is also another key principle wherein we talk about. Next, collaboration of stakeholders and developers. That is what I mentioned on the key points, and that is what been mentioned here as well, right? Collaboration of stakeholders and all developers also possible here, but here we need to understand what is stakeholder is all about. Normally people have a conception that stakeholders doesn't mean customer. See, stakeholder necessarily need not be a customer. So what we need to understand is stakeholders doesn't mean the people who has stake on the project, means people who are directly or indirectly involving in the project and who can show impact in the project. Those people we call it as stakeholders. Okay, so stakeholders, collaboration, developers and all everything are also needed under Agile and all that. At the same time, stakeholders and team members motivated for project outcome also helpful for tools, right? Because we use different tools here and all that. Because of course, when we talk about regular project management and all, we have a tool, project management tool called as MS Project, Microsoft Project we call it as. Normally, everyone follows the same tool all the time, most of the time. But when we talk about Agile environment and all, it has its own specific tools like Jira, Rally and all that, Confluence Edu tools and all that we have. So Jira is all about the project tracking management tools, wherein we can track the progress of the project, velocity of the project. We can assign the task, right, to whom we have assigned the task, right, who is assigned the task and all that, right? All these things possible here, right? So this is all happens under the tools perspective. So whoever is working under Agile may understand that whoever is working under Agile must have some idea about this project management tools like Jira and all that, right? Which are, I don't say 100% compulsory, but there are requirements. Because for example, if you are in a product owner role, assume that, of course I have not discussed about what is product owner and all, but as an example I'm just giving you, if you're in a role of product owner wherein you are the person whom you are developing some user stories and maintaining product backlog and all that, so wherein you are entitled to work on this. At the same time, you are working as a scrum master, for example, right, wherein you are managing the scrum team, what are the scrum team do we have and all that, if we have. So to track the progress of the project, right, to whom we have assigned the task, how many days you are giving this task, in how many days the work has been completed, how much of percentage of work is completed, how many days was left over, all these things can be seen using these tools. There are Jira, Rally, all these tools are there. Using these tools, this tracking the progress of the project, velocity, all this can be done here. Next, face-to-face meetings, that is what I told you, right? So daily scrum we call it as, normally we call it as daily scrum. It happens about 15 minutes of time in the morning, wherein we'll be interacting with about the things which we have done yesterday, right? What you're going to do today and tomorrow, all that things can be we do under this here, we do here under face-to-face meetings and all that. And ultimately the final goal for us about final work product, ultimate goal was that, right? So that was the ultimate goal. That is also another principle. Next, sustainable development for long lasting development happens, because there are some cases wherein you can see some projects develop for years together. Years together means new requirements are adding, keep on new requirements we are adding, and we are remodifying it. We are adding new requirements, we are executing, and we are showing. That is how the development happens. So development is a process. It's a constant process of development. Delivering, we are developing it, right? We are executing it, we are testing it, we are delivering to the customer. Again, we are taking some other new requirements. So this development of the application happens in regular intervals. There will be of no stoppage for some time. So it's keep on going and all that. The best example of e-commerce portal like Amazon, Flipkart and all I've told you. So there is no stoppage there, right? So as long as the business runs, so there will be some team who works with them, vendor team and all that. So those people do whatever the changes they want and all. Sometimes the changes might be required in hours together. That's the reason why if a person work for Agile team for one time, my God, so they'll not show interest to work again for an agile. Of course, I'm not making you fear of it, but this is how the situation under agile, because agile is mainly of timelines based. Because if it is being given for 3 weeks of time, you have to complete the work in 3 weeks of time, and the no extension of timelines will be given. And whatever the portion of work you have, and you need to extend this. You need to come. You need to put this work in other sprint, and then you have to develop it. So no timelines will be given, as in extension of timelines will be given. So whatever the timelines being given, in the within the timelines we have to complete the task. This is how the structure of agile looks like normally. So because sometimes customer is asking in hours together, right? In hours time we have to complete. There are cases that in hours, within hours, because morning he has given the work, wherein by afternoon you have to execute, you have to complete the task, and you need to submit to the customer. This is how the situations are, right? So sustainable developments and all, everything required. Next, focus towards on textile technical excellence and proper design, because unless until there is no proper design as such being identified, or unless until there was no proper technical excellence and all. So because multiple roles and multiple responsibilities need to be rendered. For example, if you are a person working under Scrum team, right? Because if you're working under Agile project, for example, you must be well versed with all the aspects of project development. If you say that I'm a developer, I do only do coding and all, will not have any what we call, will not have any value at all, right? So you must be good at development, design, testing, coding, right? All that you must be good at. So technical excellence is all required. Next, it should not be more of complex, and the work has to be completed more simple and crystal clear and simple. This is how agile because if you are increasing the complexity of the working environment, obviously it leads to the disaster, so which should not happen all the time. So simplicity is more important, right? So you want to reduce as much of complexities as possible, and we want to make work more simpler and easier, so that we can complete the task very faster, right? So simplicity is more important. Next is self-organizing teams, as I already mentioned you in the beginning itself, right? Whoever is working under agile, so those people should have a self-organizing ability. Everybody are free to discuss among others. They are free to discuss with the kind of ideas what we have, right? Idea sharing, explaining the ideas of whatever we have and all that, right? All that interactions and all, everything is required under agile and all, right? So this is all comes under self-organizing teams and all that. Next, regular intervals used through fine-tuning behaviors, right? So regular intervals, we have to do the changes and all that, right? So these are the major 12 key principles where agile landed, right? So this is what generally the agile process or methodology is all about, which is it is common for any project development, because it is irrespective of the design, irrespective of the domain you are, irrespective of the technology what you're working and all that. Whatever the key principles are, the pillars what we're talking about and all, were common for any project development under agile. So these are common for everyone, so there is no specific difference you can find out here and all that. But now we must be knowing about what is Scrum here then, right? Because most of the people may have some different doubts here, because sometimes people say agile, sometimes people say Scrum and all that. This is what the framework says, because see, agile, as I told you, it's a process or methodology of application development. Under agile there are different frameworks and processes. One about Scrum, second XP stands for extreme programming, lean, Kanban, RUP stands for rational unified process, Crystal, right? At the same time, DSDM stands for dynamic software development methodology. Of course, it's a first of its kind, because see, understand one thing, agile is not new now. Okay, agile is an enhanced version of the old ones. Understand that one. So that way DSDM has a connection with agile, because agile earlier name was, and means 100% I'm not relating, but to some extent I can relate you. Agile earlier name was DSDM. I can say that. DSDM, dynamic software development methodology. But dynamic software development methodology has its own flaws. Depends upon the kind of situations we have faced. Slowly these experts start refining, and slowly this agile process has been implemented. Maybe is this agile will be there in coming years? Can't be sure, because this agile again will have some new challenges comes into picture to us. Again agile will be more enhanced and also maybe after down the line, maybe after 15-20 years or something like agile, maybe it's not, may not be in the name of agile, maybe it's on the name of other thing, but it's more enhanced. So this is an enhancements happens all the time. So we have to understand this is agile is not new and it's not been invented new as it is, because there are lot many struggles people have undergone, lot many challenges, lot many failures and all that. Out of all the experiences what we have undergone, people have slowly started understanding the market dynamics and all. Slowly these agile processes, all that has been introduced over a period of time, right? So this is how you need to understand that. So DSDM, and at the same time we have FDD, right? Feature driven development we call it as. So these are different frameworks and processes are there under agile process. Understand, I'm repeating you again, agile is a process or a methodology. Under that, Scrum, XP, Lean, Kanban, all that were frameworks and processes. Some companies use Scrum, some companies may go for XP, some companies maybe go for Lean, some companies maybe go for Kanban and all that. But you can ask me one thing here, that we haven't had anything except Scrum, right? Why Scrum is more prominent compared to others? Because we hardly we listen all about this, seen all about this. Like why Scrum and why don't other remaining things? Because Scrum is a widely used frameworks in project development. At least 80% of the market share, especially in project development, lands under Scrum. So that's the reason why we use Scrum framework and we listen more about Scrum framework as a whole rather than XP and all that. The basic difference I'll tell you. For example, if you want to complete in work in Scrum, then the normal time they'll be giving you is about 4 weeks as maximum, 2 weeks as minimum. But whereas if you're talking about XP, it is confined only for 2 weeks as maximum. They won't be giving you more than 2 weeks of time. So there are some different minor changes wherein you can see here and all that, there and here and all that. That's the reason why market share is more about Scrum. That's the reason most of the people knows. Even of course, I name it as Agile Scrum. I hope you people have seen that. Not only of Agile Scrum I call it as, because Agile is a methodology or a process, wherein Scrum is a framework wherein we are using for project development. If it is not Scrum, some people may use XP or Lean or Kanban or UP, something like. But may just take success rate at the same time, everything is lies on Scrum. The reason most of the people use Scrum framework under Agile, especially for IT project development and all that. Okay, so this is all about the introductory part of Agile, right? Because it starts with SDLC. Why is it important? What are the different models and all that? And why Agile is more required for us? What are the principles, right? What are the key principles of that, right? What are all comes under this Agile and all that, right? So this is all the introductory part which I have covered for today. This is the session has officially been ended now. The session I am closing for today, right? The session is completed. So this is all about Agile and why is it important and how it is connecting to SDLC process and all that. So why are we using this Agile process, and what about what is meant by Scrum and how it is connecting to Agile? This is all the session for today is all about. The session is completed for today. If you guys have any queries with respect to this, please go ahead one by one. Please, before you're raising your query, please tell your name. Please introduce yourself, and then you carry on. It's just 2 minutes of your introduction, right? What is your professional experience? Please explain for 2 minutes, not more fast. Then you can ask your query. Yeah, you can start now. Start your queries. You have any query, you please ask me now. Anyone? Any queries? Any queries, please? Ramesh, are you there? Ramesh? Any queries? Would like to ask anything, you please. Ramesh, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Yes, Ramesh, the session was completed officially. So I have asked them about the queries, but of course, none of them were responded. I
Okay,
hope they don't have
okay.
any queries as such. So I'm closing session for today.
Okay.
And
Before that, you can ask about you.
sorry.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ramesh. The session is completed. So that shall I sign out from this? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you.
participation. Thank you.
Go to meeting. Go to meeting now.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.